Good evening, and welcome to the Community Chapel of Holistic Healing's Friday night chapel service. DCWH was established in 1977 by Reverend Machelle Lusson, a mystic and channel for the multidimensional cosmic consciousness. We are a nonprofit spiritual fellowship dedicated to the advancement of human evolution to the fifth dimensional Christ consciousness. We are here to help individual transformation, and in doing so, all of humanity as well. We'll begin with the channeled affirmations given to us from Spirit through Reverend Lusson in the late 1970s. These are faith, hope, and charity, but we refer to them here as our three healers because they balance all of the major energy systems of the body. My name is Reverend Mary Huber, pastor of the Community Chapel of Holistic Healing. And the affirmations are, the faith affirmation is, I believe in the spiritual existence of myself as a perfect image of the divine creator. In this reflection that is my physical embodiment, I have faith in the supreme guidance of my soul for my balance, my needs, and my opportunities. Outside of myself, there are also perfect images, and nothing can delude my thinking otherwise. The hope affirmation, acknowledging my faith in the omnipresence of my divinity. I hope for realization, awareness, an acknowledgement of the existence of the great I am within myself. And the charity affirmation, in understanding faith, in knowing hope. I pledge my actions, my desires, and my thoughts to the performances of myself on the physical planes of the earth, to honor, to love, and to enlighten all that is a reflection of the divine outside myself, so that my perfection is imaged back to my Creator. So help me God. Well, this evening, we are pleased to have Reverend Gloria Cousar deliver her message on the flower essences and other nature's antidotes for helping humans to balance and heal. Reverend Cousar has been a minister here since the very early days of our organization. She has also served in the capacity of pastor for quite a few years. She does have a personal wide outreach and helps quite a number of people at distant locations, among her many other activities. I will turn this over now to Gloria, and I am looking forward to your talk.
Turn up the volume. Okay. Well, I expected we would move through some other things before I had the opportunity to come on, but that's okay.
Well, we're with a little bit of a glitch here with the electronics, so we're a little bit different than we normally are.
No, I've had some issues on this side too.
Uh,
I tried to bring up the messages that had the link in them. And when I did so, the messages were there, but the links were missing. So something's going on, but I dare not interfere with a cosmic joke and just take it as such. It's nice to see those of you who are here. I see Brenda and Mary, of course. Carolyn Carter, I was hoping you would be on because you have direct experience with what I'm going to be talking about. Maybelle Bennett, Reverend Maybelle Bennett from the Covenant Christian Community. I want to welcome her to be present here. And Elizabeth Good, and oh my goodness, from Pennsylvania, Carolyn. not Carolyn. Say your name. Say your name. You're
Carol
mute.
Ann.
Carol Ann, Gloria.
Carol Ann. That's why I
Ekman, yeah.
stumbled.
Hi.
Hello,
All right.
poet, our poet in residence here. There's Elizabeth Good, who is retired from the Geological Survey. I was associate stones with you, but also your other skills. Nancy Liu, and Nancy, I don't know if David is with you or not, but
He is in spirit. He's been having some physical issues today, so he said he's
okay. Well, welcome,
gonna watch
welcome.
you tomorrow.
And Kelly, I'm glad you're present because you were under the weather a little bit, but we're happy you're here, and certainly she's coming right along. Kathy Leader, I want to welcome you. Rob Roberts. Okay, I don't see their faces and know if they're opened up for right now, but there's there's Kathy. Okay, welcome, Kathy. Let me see if I missed anybody. Rob Roberts is here, but he hasn't put his face on. I kind of like to see the people and see their flesh and blood because it's sometimes hard to exchange uh, when uh, when you just see a blank or a name and you don't know what's going on. But tonight, given all that's occurred and all that we're going to be talking about, I'm going to share some experiences with you. I'm going to give some suggestions, but at the same time, I want this to be an open forum. I want you to be able to interrupt me with questions, comments, and short quips about your experiences as we go along, because uh, in many ways it's a difficult subject to talk about power remedies and raising your vibration all in one sitting. Uh, there are so many universal and cosmic, I would say, aspects to these topics that it lends itself more to workshops, and I'm accustomed to doing workshops more hands-on experiences with the notion of things involving nature and natural supports or natural elements that are coming to us from the nature kingdoms. At least that's in my world. So if you'll bear with me a bit, I know that I promised to share a little bit about my journey with creative wellness and the idea of raising your vibration with using the flower essences. I there's I'm 75 years young at this point, and I look back on so many different experiences and phases of my life in which, in and out, I had cause to resort to a flower essence, a remedy, an emergency trauma solution, something to assist me with moving through whatever the obstacle or the attitude or the problem was that I was encountering. I guess in the earlier stages when I was still in ministerial school and a younger mother than I am now, there would be issues that would come up with the kids and their problems or their challenges in which they needed a little emotional help besides a hug to settle them down or to help ease them into a place that was better situated for them to learn. And so from early times, since the birth of well, not the birth of Chaka, because he was coming to me from Egypt, but the birth of my second son, Christopher, I learned to use the flower essences in different ways, because to keep peace in the house, to keep peace in me, to keep myself balanced, and to help establish an environment that would retard or push back against distractions and interferences from other vibrations that were not as harmonious with having a peaceful home. So I learned to use the flower essences in little cups of water with the children. They would come home from school. I would figure out from what I learned in my ministerial classes as to how to test my children for the essences as a surrogate for them, and have them hold on to me, and use the muscle testing, or otherwise called biokinesiology. And we can talk a little further about the kinesiology. But moving on from the experience of working with the kids and myself to be balanced, in partnering and being a part of the support group for Machelle Lusson in her development of creative wellness, I got to share in reading some of the sourced material that she brought in having to do with the flower essences. And one of the things that stuck out to me about what I was able to read, because she not only would review what was out there in the way of who was working with the essences and putting products out and so forth, but she had a fondness for Dr. Bach, Dr. Edward Bach, who was the founder and originator of the Bach flower remedies. His pieces you can find online, actually some free PDFs of his writings you might find online, where he explains what he believes to be the way that the essences work. And he was a very awakened, spiritually awakened individual. He was functioning back in the 1930s. Okay, I think he was a contemporary with our guy Edgar Cayce. So you don't find too many references in Edgar Cayce's readings to the Bach remedies, because they were developing stuff at the same time. In reading some of the stuff that he wrote that Machelle pointed me to, I learned that this man was quite unusual. He was a bacteriologist as a MD. And I believe he got that way probably because of some of the tragedies in his life. Before he was 9 years old, he lost his brother and his sister. They were both deceased, along with his mother, before 9 years of age. And then once he became 9, it was like 9 or 10 months later, after those things happened, that he lost his father. And this all had to do with conditions that existed in the part of England that where they lived that were unsanitary, and the bacteria and the toxins in the environment that they lived in brought about those illnesses and diseases. But he didn't find the satisfaction in the medical arena where they were doing vivisection and other sorts of practices to come at the true healing process and the understanding of an alternative to surgeries and the other methods that they were using to try to cure people. We were sort of back in the still in some of the dark ages with what was being proposed in medicine at that time. But Machelle did advocacy of Dr. Bach struck me, and I decided to take a chance on it and took her class on the flower essences and learned the art of muscle testing. How many of you remember this? Or if you were lucky enough to have a partner present with you who was also interested in this and cooperative to do the pushing down of the arms. In the Creative Wellness book itself, which I happen to have sitting beside me, some of you remember this, there's a very good explanation of how to do the muscle testing to identify the gods and the goddesses, the biopsychological types, archetypes that go along with the creative wellness system. But in addition to that, I want to refer you to this material, and there are other books that she's written by Machelle Small Wright, who it's a very good job that she's gone through in working with flower essences, but also the nature intelligence behind the development of the flower essences, and a technique she has in this book and other books that she's written. She explains how to do the muscle testing, very similar to what Machelle presented in terms of the kinesiology. And I had something else I pulled off my shelf. This little book, it's called Muscle Testing, Your Ways to Health, Using Emotions, Nutrition, and Massage. And this was put out back then by the something called the Biokinesiology Institute. And there are many other sources that talk about still the traditional medical association is not altogether sure what to say about muscle testing. They may put it in the arena of quasi-science, but there's a whole branch of medicine, homeopathy, that depends upon muscle testing and uses it with accuracy to identify the medicines and the herbs that are recommended for people. But let me back up a little bit and talk about the idea of vibrational healing. We all understand, at least most of us today, when we talk about your vibes. Yeah, everything in existence vibrates. Energy is vibration. Energy moves. We move. Our form that we take in this third dimension is a vibratory form, but it also has a frequency associated with the vibration, different levels. And the person who did a whole lot of work in explaining the idea of vibrations in relationship to emotions was a physician by the name of David Hawkins, Dr. David Hawkins. How many of you have heard of Dr. David Hawkins? I think his popular book was called Power versus Force. That was one of the early ones, but he did about 7 or 8 volumes of information since then, and his the piece that has been very popular towards the end of his life was the map of consciousness. And what David Hawkins did was to be able to calibrate our emotional states. Dr. Bach did the case studies, and he documented the case studies and the characteristics and so forth for each flower essence. But Dr. Hawkins, who did not really have the connection with the flower essences, worked on looking at the emotional states themselves as low or higher frequencies. They had a scale with 17 different levels of frequencies associated with your emotional state. And he called these the levels of consciousness. And if I can pull up, I do have his, I did have the map in here somewhere to show you. Here it is, often depicted in rainbow colors. But the map of consciousness is oftentimes shown, if you will go online to see it, as the 17 different levels. And I don't know if Brenda's able to bring this up. Brenda? Brenda.
I'm working on it. I'll be right there.
All right. The levels of consciousness go from the lowest level, which is shame, and other lower levels include the emotion of guilt, that of apathy, the emotion of grief, and certainly the emotion of fear. All of these are at the bottom of the map of consciousness on the scale. These are the lowest of the emotions. And these are forces. He terms these as the forces in opposition to what the higher emotions or states of consciousness represent the power when you read the power versus force material. But he determined, and he used out logarithms to scale them so that guilt and shame tallied the frequency that was 20, whereas all the way up to the top of the scale, and where he shows the positive emotions of enlightenment and peace and unconditional love or joy, those things, the highest one tallied 700 to 1,000. So you look at 700 to 1,000 on the logarithmic scale in terms of the power of that emotion versus the force of shame having an impact on a person and plunging their frequency down to a low level of 20. And why do we take him seriously? Well, we take him seriously because Dr. David Hawkins was one of the most prolific and active psychiatrists in the country at the time that he was alive. He had the largest psychiatric practice in the United States when he took up this interest in, and he also underwent his own spiritual awakening to be led to create this map of consciousness. And why is it important? Because he was very much interested in alleviating suffering that stemmed from the emotional, the negative mental states that people had. And he felt it was a key to healing people if he could move them up the scale by either the therapeutic treatments that were introduced. He didn't really know a whole lot about the flower essences, but I think in where we are now today, we can sort of combine the two and look at his map of consciousness and the emotions that are listed on there, the states of consciousness that are listed on there, and can consider some of the treatments of the flower essences that are out there that correlate with some of these different mental states. It suggests that the flower essences themselves have calibrated frequencies. And I haven't seen a study that actually shows that or demonstrates that, but anecdotally or on an individual basis, we can use our own intuition, our own intuitive gifts to determine at what level of frequency the essence might have as an impact on a person who is wanting to cope with a certain type of attitude or a problem emotionally. I believe that, and I'm a practitioner of using the pendulum in addition to muscle testing, to determine at what scale or level or type of energy effect not only a substance, but maybe a situation or a material or nutritionally, or in terms of whether or not we have a need for a vitamin or a mineral or something. But the effect of it we can ascertain by using the pendulum, which is a form of dowsing. Some people would call it divination, but dowsing. And are any of you members of the American Association of Dowsers, American Dowsing Association? They're becoming quite the metaphysical group. So I would recommend that you all might want to check them out. They have some very interesting things that people are probing spiritually by the use of dowsing in the pendulum. And but anyway, at this point, and for the purposes of tonight, I'm throwing these ideas or these topics and subjects out there to you as a suggestion that through your own intuitive capabilities, you might be able to explore the use of flower essences for either your personal purposes, or if someone comes to you seeking some assistance as to what to use. Way back when I was first interested in and started using the Bach flower remedies, I came across a little deck of cards called the Bach Flower Oracle. And it's basically the 38 different remedies that Dr. Bach brought into prominence as the Bach flowers remedy system. And they're on cards, and you shuffle the cards like you would do other sorts of divination cards, angel cards, or tarot cards, or whatever. And you focus your shuffling and your contemplation of whatever it is you're trying to address with the healing, and then you select the cards. But it's important to be able to, before you even pick up the cards and work with the cards, is to tune into nature intelligence, to call in the angels and ask them to provide the energy, the light, the environment in which the truth can emerge from your selection of whether it's the cards or I've gotten to the point where I just take the box of remedies and I can run my hands across the rows of essences and test which one muscle-wise is going to relate to the query that I have, my intention for using it. I started using that method, I guess several years ago, when we used to do workshops at the psychic fairs. When people they heard about creative wellness and they wanted to know which type they were, or which remedy they might use that would strengthen them, or what gemstone. And I learned that your touch, you can some people see energy, I can touch energy. And you might also be able to develop that kind of capability. I wanna ask if there's any questions so far from any of the things that I mentioned by any of you, comments. Okay, I don't see anybody. This is one of the difficulties of raising. Oh, there we go. This is the, okay, I don't know if you can move it up and down, but this is the
Gloria, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Who's speaking?
So my
Brenda?
question, this is Brenda. I had always understood that the rose flower essence was of the highest vibration. What is your thought on that?
I think it would depend upon who is asking the question and for what purpose. Or if you have.
So I'm asking because on this chart it's saying that the calibrated frequency is 500 for love, and
For unconditional love or joy. It's again, these are logarithms, and it's to whatever power but the 540 is a very high. Dr. Hawkins said that most of the people that he tested were at the level 200 or below.
So I'm wondering if the love category, the reason why roses are a symbol of love is because of this frequency of love that it carries. Would you
That would
ascribe
be,
to that thought?
I would agree with you that the rose is one of the highest frequencies when we talk about scents and oils. And to bring that into your energy field would have an effect on your energy field, to the extent that you apply it or use it. How long that effect would last is another question. And one of the things that Michelle's work brought out is that she observed that Dr. Bach's therapeutic technique was to administer the essences in drops of water, in the stock essences in drops placed in water. And he would advise the person to take the essences a few times a day. And he would also counsel the people in the use of the essence, getting them to describe what they were feeling, and then trying to lead them to the opposite aspect of the negative emotion. So if people were experiencing being critical of someone, and he gave them beach, then he would also counsel them about becoming more tolerant of other people, or basically going from the low energy expression to the higher energy expression in relationship to that essence. Michelle's source said that was more the reason why the flower essences worked, which was because there was some therapy applied, some counseling applied once the person took the essence, that would allow them to make the choice of going to a different state of mind, or a higher state of mind. In the advising of the use of flower essences in the creative wellness system, she always recommended that people use the 3 healers: the faith, the hope, and the love affirmations in connection with the use of flower essences to strengthen their effect. I think in Machelle Wright's books, she talks about you can take essences multiple times throughout the day, but don't increase the dosage, because increasing the dosage doesn't have the effect as much as the different times that one ingests the essences. I don't know if that becomes across clear to you or not. Somebody else want to ask or get clarity of what we're talking about? Well, we don't have just one essence that might help a person come to a state that was loving or benign or corresponded with the frequency of love, but perhaps there are several essences that might help remove the obstacle, the emotional obstacle that a person is experiencing that stands in the way of them being able to be loving. So I haven't seen, like I said, a correspondence of specific essences, but I think the map itself is helpful to know the level beneath that a person is moving from to get to the level above. That once you, for example, he talks about, well, once you reach the level of courage, then you're able to get on your way to moving up the scale and being having I guess more positivity in your energy, and go from there. But for the goal, I guess the therapeutic goal is to get beyond 200, which 200 is not a is a low vibration still, but not the lowest that stands in the way of you being able to improve and move up to a higher level of consciousness. I don't want to get bogged down in the map of consciousness, but if you have the chance to pick up one of Dr. Hawkins's books, and he has several, The Map of Consciousness Explained is the whole book, and he goes through each of those levels to talk about the therapy involved, how to transcend the level of consciousness.
Gloria, I have a question. This is Kathy. Why do you think people have such a low vibration? I mean, if it's so consistent, what do you think drives them there?
Well, sometimes it becomes stuck. It becomes a signal in the brain that keeps repeating, or it's merged into the subconscious level where it bubbles up unexpectedly and interferes with them being able to get past it.
So I'm thinking, is this society in general does this? Or I'm just trying to figure out how it just seems to
Well,
be chasing its tail, I guess.
Look at what the mass consciousness, or what we call the mass consciousness, social media. Okay, I don't know that I would calibrate it at a very high level in terms of the kinds of things that daily get to be the focus of that. The Dalai Lama said that the media was like the it represents a low level of consciousness when we talk about focusing on violence, shock and alarm, and death. Very little of the media, it talks about politics and the conflicts day to day. When you turn on, you'll hear the news about who got killed, not who got born.
Yeah.
But where the accidents are, where the shootings and the violence get to be, and all of this broadcasted on a day-to-day basis. We used to worry about it in the newspapers, but newspapers are becoming a thing of the past. You have to go online and find your stories. But the level of consciousness coming through the stories, unless they're love stories, and there are a few, and there are some films that are uplifting, but they tend to be the minority and not the majority of the things that people are exposed to. We have a choice. We have a choice when we take on an attitude as to whether we will stay in that attitude. But some people have difficulty because of the emotional disturbance of a particular attitude, of leaving that, of letting it go, of going someplace else. And this is where the flower essences can be helpful in raising your vibration and such, because of the frequency, the higher frequency of flower essences, to help you move from that state to a higher state. And why is that? From reading what I've read and dealing with some of the experiences that I've had, the whole notion of what the role that the nature kingdoms play, the nature intelligence plays, the devas, the nature spirits, and the energies that they put into flowers, has a lot to do with the strength and the power of these substances to raise our vibration. Some people refer to it as the chi, the prana, the life force that goes into the flowers on the planet are extremely high. And that's why some people refer to them as God's antidotes for human negativity, because they have that power, that strength that can interrupt what's going on in the electrical system of a person who is having a bad day, and interrupt it and help them shift to something else. But again, the use of affirmations along with flower essences, I think, are the most effective method of using it. Carolyn, do you have anything to add or say about the preparations or the development of the essences and how they're used?
There's a lot I could say.
I
think one of the most important things, for those of you that don't know, I worked at Perelandra, where Machelle Small Wright developed the flower essences. I worked there for 11 years. And my primary area was in taking the tinctures that she created and turning them into the little bottles with the preservative in them and making them ready for sale. So I've used them extensively. I know a fair amount about them. But I think the most important thing that you said that I took from Michelle's work is that these things work with your electrical system. I mean, they are a biological, physical thing. When you aren't well, either physically or emotionally or mentally, you've got something busted in the electrical system. And you're trying to fix yourself. You're trying to get healthy, whole, and well again. You do that more effectively when your electrical system is completely intact. If your electrical system is broken, the flower essences that when you test for them in muscle test, when you find the one that will heal you, will put that electrical system back in place, that's what they do. They heal the electrical system. They create a fully functioning electrical system that lets you then, in a bodily system, fix the healing or fix the whatever is physically wrong with you, or whatever might be emotionally or spiritually.
The short circuiting.
Yeah, what's short circuited, right? When you get rid of the short circuit, your body naturally knows how to heal. And that nature, when souls were considering coming into this planet, nature partnered with souls to say, we'll give you natural ways to do the healing process. And it's going to be in the flowers and the flower essences. And I know that there have been expansions for essences beyond flowers. There are other forms of life or vibration that have the ability to heal. And so that, flower essence is the most common kind of essences. But as I say, there are others that fix whatever's busted in the electrical system in the human beings.
And it's based on this frequency healing that
Yeah.
takes place. And to sustain the frequency once they take it, because it doesn't last forever.
Right.
This,
It depends
this
on how busted it is.
reconditioning, this mental reconditioning with the affirmations or prayers or whatever, help.
It's all supportive. And the sooner you get to the disconnect in the electrical system, the broken circuit, the less length of time you'll have to need with the essence. I mean, the longer you are not functioning well with an electrical system that's busted, that's when you have to take the essences more frequently and for a longer period of time.
Now, I will tell you that I have used the Perelandra essences in a lot of different ways, but for the purposes of tonight, we're talking about healing negative mental states. ETS, the emergency trauma solution, it's called, is a miracle. is a miracle, and in particular for toothaches, I have found that it relieves all of the pain, and you can use it multiple times in a day, but the same dosages, maybe 5 minutes apart. These trauma solutions, even with animals, using them with animals or plants even, are quite amazing. I don't know that there's any science that has caught up with what these emergency trauma solutions can do. But again, there must be at such a high frequency. Is there another hand or up or something?
Yes, Maybell has a question. Go ahead,
Yes.
Maybell.
Hi. Thank you for inviting me to this session. I was wondering what the modalities were for taking advantage of the flower essences. You know, it occurs to me that I heard you say sometimes they are placed in water, and I'm assuming that you drink them. I would imagine that our olfactory equipment for breathing in the aromas would be another. If they are placed in oils that you apply to your body, I would imagine that if there were sprays that you could spritz in your environment, are these a combination of ways that you can take advantage of the flower essences?
I would agree that they can be, but the actual systems that have been mostly have developed the most have been the ones that use the remedies as a homeopathic type tincture in drops, but also there are the oils. The essential oils are a form of healing agent, like the remedies that can stem from flowers and herbs, and the plants. It's the plant kingdom, infused with life force from the devas, the angelic kingdom, and able to grow and be harvested by people and made and retrieved through whatever processes people, apply to then make them available for the use on the body or through nutrition or however it is. But yeah, that's the flower. It's the energy coming from that higher kingdom through the flowers, through the life force. And when there's no life, we can tell when there's no life force present, and it just doesn't work the same.
Yeah. I thank you. I have an 8 o'clock and
Okay,
I'm going to have to rotate, but
all
it's
right.
been wonderful to see everyone and to hear you again, Reverend Gloria, because you have graced covenant with your messages as well. So take care, everyone. I'm sorry I had to leave so quickly.
Not at all. Thanks for coming.
All right.
Good night. Okay. Uh, this awareness about nature intelligence in the nature kingdoms is something I began to be exposed to when I decided to visit Findhorn. And getting awareness of this whole spiritual reality, this these other spiritual beings in the other kingdoms of life, besides the human kingdom, was something that we don't really pay much attention to in general in day-to-day society. People don't acknowledge, for example, that there are devas or nature spirits in relationship to doing architecture or engineering. We don't have that layer of insight governing our decisions as to where we place things, or we want to put a hospital, or we want to build a residential community. It's just not there. So when I was working at the Department of Housing and Urban Development back during the Carter administration, I had some vacation time built up. And somebody had shown me this book called The Findhorn Garden. And I read that. And it talked about these 3-foot tall broccoli plants and these 40-pound cabbages. And I said, is that real? It just struck me that because I was studying communities and I was studying alternative communities as part of my assignment. So I decided, for my vacation on my own dime, I would enroll in this program that took me to Findhorn. And at Findhorn, which started from, the story of Findhorn as they were in these little trailers that they were set upon some land that was for poor people. Because it was after the war and people didn't, there were a lot of people struggling in Britain. And they landed on this place that's almost near the Arctic Circle, Forres in Scotland is where Findhorn is located. And the three of them, you can go back to the picture of the three people, was one Peter Caddy, Dorothy McLean, and what's the third one? Dorothy, Peter, and
Eileen Caddy.
Eileen Caddy. Eileen Caddy. And they worked, it's interesting that they each had their little trailers, and they would I don't know whether they were in the same faith or religion, but they got to learn how to survive in that place. Peter, I think, was given custodial control over this hotel that was located there. And that became part of a job that he was doing. But they were guided to start a garden, and augmenting, how they could get enough nutrition and food, being in that location. And they were, of course, practicing meditation and prayers, and they met together, Eileen, Peter, and Dorothy, in meditation every day. They prayed. Eileen and Peter had a couple of kids. They had two boys that were a part of the family. And eventually they became like channels for nature, the nature spirits and the nature intelligence, the devas. I believe there must be an angel of Findhorn somewhere that it was intended for them to come and create this community and demonstrate what could happen in a partnership with nature. This is one of the pictures I think I was able to find as they began the effort that they did. Today, Findhorn is still thriving. It still exists. There's a foundation, and then there's a community that has grown up around it, where people practice the ecology that was learned from the communication with nature. When I went there, I was taught that because I stayed in the hotel, and each little room had a message on it about how you are to attune to the angel of the room, or the deva, to do your chores and be in a good state of mind while you were open to being there for the length of time. I stayed almost a month there, and it was also a place where when I first got there, it was snowing, but there were flowers growing in the snow. And at night, you would have these dreams. You had different kinds of dreams, and they were always very so clear and remarkable. is the only way I can term them. But I wasn't used to dreaming of it every single night. But every single night I was dreaming, and we were dreaming about, the plants, the land, we were taken to sacred spots. We were, I worked on a house out there that we were trying to bring back. But I also learned that there was a connection between the design of a community and the energy. Not quite like feng shui, but to know that there are beings, nature spirits, fairies.
Gloria,
Yes,
is this the hotel down at the lower left-hand corner that you were talking about?
it could be. It could be. I know it's a large building, but it looks more, that might be looks more like a storage. I'm not sure.
It's right across from this thing that looks like a labyrinth.
Yeah, there are labyrinths out there, but I'm not sure that that's the hotel. The hotel does look like a older hotel structure, built, in a traditional way. But like I said, it's still operating. It's very beautiful, and people are still meditating and raising families out there. They don't have any particular product that they're pushing, except that they have had different ones to come there and hold seminars or conferences or speakers. They have a beautiful community center. But it was hard to come back from that, back into the government and, listen to the decisions and the plans and so forth that were taking place without any consciousness about there being a world of beings that we should be interacting with, or who are performing services to the earth to keep the earth in harmony and balance, that are totally disregarded from what is taking into consideration for this quote unquote urban development or residential development communities. People today are concerned about the data centers and the noise. Well, they didn't consult nature on any of that. Dare say that they would. But
Gloria, would you like me to bring up the other pictures
sure,
from Perelandra?
let's see what they are.
Yeah, I noticed this one. I'll start with this one. Has the same type of labyrinth, and this is Perelandra
I think this is Perelandra. Yeah.
in Virginia. Yeah, we saw all the pictures from Findhorn. So I was going to go through the pictures from Perelandra.
And Carolyn, if you can identify anything in particular that stands out in this.
Yes, I can. Obviously, then the center is the garden. It's a 100 yard foot, whatever. It's 100 yards big and circular. It's got the roses that are made into the flower essence ring on the outside. The cabin that's on the right-hand side was Michelle's personal cabin until she built the home that she's in now on the property. And the building that's on the left-hand side was the garden shed and the working area for Machelle when she was doing her work. So there's also a fish pond, and there's a tomato ring that's kind of to the front of that picture.
And she still has the Genesha crystal in the middle.
She did when I left. I haven't been there in a number of years.
No, I think it's still there.
It should be.
But when she first got started with Clarence, it was just a teepee that they would go in and meditate and try to get information and direction as to what the next steps got to be. And it was.
And what is the Genesha? What is the Genesha? What is a Genesha crystal?
Genesha crystal. There was a soil scientist, and I think his last name was Genesha, if I'm not mistaken. It might not have been, but if you look it up, you'll find him. He believed that it was more beneficial to grow crops in circles as opposed to straight lines and rectangles, and it was helping their life force to grow in these more organic shapes. And he came up with these crystal forms, almost like Buckminster Fuller, but the crystal shapes he was the originator of, and they radiated the energy out to the rest of the area around them. Probably some
kind of
subterranean impacts as well. But
it kind of looks like petals growing outward.
Mhm.
right from the center, like a flower. Beautiful. All right, let me bring up another one. I have a bunch to go through if we have time. Here's another one. Looks like a globe in the middle.
Center of the garden.
That's the better.
That's the center of the garden with chocolate mulch down, and then the Geneseo crystal is that metal shape, that thing that's in the center, and it
In the middle.
brings energy in, cleans it, and sends it back out again. And then it's sitting on top of, I think those were cocoa shells, a mineral substance that was there to support the center of the garden.
Now I collaborated with the co-creative science method when in the work that I did in DC. I think the work that I did in partnership was mentioned in her co-creative science book, where we were able to balance and stabilize the soil and then do an energy cleaning of the soil where for various apartment buildings that we were trying to renovate and revitalize. And it worked out quite well. What I learned, however, was, and this is I thought this was a picture of Machelle, but
It's not, it's Jeanette Edwards.
I don't think so.
Jeanette was one of the employees there. She's one of the right-hand men, right-hand ladies to Machelle.
Now, is there another picture of a female with a dog? I think that one is Machelle.
Let me see. Hang on. Yes, hang on. Sorry, these are so creamy. I was trying to make them larger and they lost their quality.
Toby.
Yeah.
Toby was her dog for a while.
Okay. Well, I would always marvel at how much work she would do by herself in that garden. It's incredible.
About a year after I started working there, she began hiring some people to be her garden assistants, but she still did an enormous amount of the work.
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully she has augmented that staff. But that's great. Are there any other pictures? There's the essences. She's got a whole system that she developed in conjunction with the Great White Brotherhood called the MAP program, Medical Assistance Program. And it's all based upon the balancing of the different microbes within the body, the funguses, the viruses, and the bacteria, as an alternative to the other medical systems that didn't work for people. I don't know how many folks are involved in using the MAP program, but I think that's an amazing opportunity. And she had, at one point, she had Albert Schatz working with her. And he, of course, was a Nobel Prize winner. It took a long time for him to get his acknowledgement, but he was a Nobel Prize winner for the discovery of streptomycin. And he used to come down there in the early days. We'd sit around the kitchen table and we'd kick around ideas.
And he liked to sharpen knives. He had knives that needed to be sharpened. Albert was your man.
He was trying to get garden projects started in Philadelphia too. but he was quite a nice person. He does the intro to the MAP program book, and I imagine that there's been advances since then. Yeah, these are some of the. I don't know if she probably still has the the video of the tour of the garden still going on the site. I would want to mention what she is doing as promoting ecology, the diversity, the biodiversity ritual that each one of us might be able to do if we're interested at the end, at the beginning of each month, on the first day of the month. This is a way that individuals can partner with nature just by being holding out and using some of the essences on their own property. That she gives instructions, I think, online as to how you can take a little map or description of your land if it's not, you're not the owner, if you're a tenant or lease land, you can get nature's help, nature intelligence help in promoting the biodiversity of the life, the organic life that shows up on that land, as well as you can help living things better cope with the stress of climate change. And they've even developed, I think she's even developed a new essence for climate stress. I just got some not too long ago. And you can take a flower essence, or I don't know how, there's probably a whole bunch of stuff in there that might be in addition to flowers to help balance your electrical system and stabilize you like a flower essence would do for emotions. But to take it during this time that we're all moving through of transformation and changes in frequency and the raising of vibrations. I think that this is likely to be very helpful for that. But you can get more information on that by going to the website. So you stepped down after 11 years, Carolyn?
Yes, that's when I moved to California.
Okay.
And Jeffersonton, Virginia is a long way from San Diego.
Yes, I was going to say. Well, do you live in California now?
No,
Oh,
I
okay.
lived there for 3 years, and now I'm in Kansas City, Missouri suburbs.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. But does Unity also promote flower essences?
No, not particularly. They certainly promote good health and whatever tools you might need to ensure your balance and wholeness.
Okay.
So, Gloria, I'm not sure if you wanted me to do a short meditation or if you just wanted to continue to field questions.
I think that what's our time? I'm sorry.
It's 20 after the hour.
Okay.
Could I ask a quick question?
Sure.
This is Carol Ann. I know about the Perelandra website, but if I want to get a full set of the Bach flower essences, what do you recommend? There's a lot of different, looks like a lot of different sources on the internet. I don't know what would be, the best choice, or the most reliable. Do you have something you can recommend if to get a
I'll
whole
tell you what
full
I
set?
know. I'll tell you what I know. The Bach flower the Bach company has a kind of label that looks the same from bottle to bottle, and they were the originals that came out. They're rather expensive, and but most of the time, the full set of remedies, as I've seen it, range from like maybe a little under $200 to over $200 for the full 38 set of 10 milliliter bottles. And I've seen them advertised on Amazon. I've seen them advertised on eBay. And the ones on eBay, they don't look too bad, but I would rather go to, let's see, I wrote it down. There's a lady, there's some stuff in, it's in Britain. The Bach Center is in Britain. And so now the prices may go up because of the tariffs and so forth, but they will still send out sets. There is a woman who is a flower essence practitioner. She's also a master gardener. She's over there in Britain. Her name is Saskia, Saskia, and she also sells sets. There are a number of sources that sell stuff, but I would look at, who it is. Do they have training? Do they put out other information about the essences? And also do your own pendulum work.
Testing. Thank you. Thank you, Gloria. Because I was doing some research and I think I don't know if they're counterfeits or knockoffs or whatever, but
Exactly.
I think going to
see the label there.
Right, yeah. And I used them many years ago, but I'm getting strong signals to return. So thank you for this wonderful presentation. Thank you, Gloria.
Okay. Let's see. There is also another source that it's in this country. There's something called the Green Hope Farm. I don't know if you've heard of it. They're located in New Hampshire. And they also produce and sell flower essences and some of the essences of their own that they have developed. And I looked at their material and their catalog, and it's quite respectable. And they can be a source to consider. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And they've been around for a while.
So thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that maybe a short meditation might be a good way to close out tonight.
I'd be happy to lead us in one if you like.
That would be Wonderful. You do amazing meditations, Brenda.
Thank you. I'm going to bring up the meditation slide. Can you see the meditation slide?
Mhm.
Okay, great. So let's get comfortable in our chairs. Ground through your feet, through the floor, down into the earth. And close your eyes. I want you to imagine that you're like this flower with those twinkling stars rising up to the heavens, connecting to the earth and to the heavens, and to your spark of light within. Imagine that you're approaching a gate, a white picket fence gate that surrounds a huge garden of flowers. And as you open the gate and cross into the garden, you just feel your energy and your vibration rising, surrounded by all the beautiful flowers of every single color imaginable. And you begin to smell the wafting fragrance of the combined aromas as the wind breezes across your nose. As you walk through this beautiful circle of a garden, you become drawn to a specific flower, a specific bush that is blooming. Notice what color the petals are. And as you bend over to breathe it, take a very, very long, slow, deep breath. Inhaling the fragrance as deep as you can. And as you exhale, you're exhaling any negativity that may have built up in your system over the past week. Just enjoy the fragrance and the color of the flower and the beauty that it brings to the soul. And when you feel fulfilled with this certain flower, you begin to walk around the circle of the garden, noticing the other flowers and their fragrances. The wind picks up a little bit and just swirls around you with all of these beautiful fragrances blended together, surrounding you, healing your body, healing your electrical system. And you may notice a deva or a fairy there with you, maybe guiding you to the next flower that you would like to inhale the fragrance. Again, notice the color. Maybe notice what type of flower it is. And bend down and breathe it in. You may notice some petals that have fallen to the ground. You ask the devas, may I pick them up? And they say, of course. You begin to rub them on your wrist to be able to carry this fragrance with you. We thank the devas and the fairies, the nature kingdom, our spirit guides, our ancestors for coming along with us on this nature walk through Perelandra or Findhorn. And we come around to the end of the circle as we reach the gate. We bid everyone adieu, thanking them for their support in our healing. And as we exit the gate, we take another long, slow, deep breath of all of the fragrances. Allow them to permeate your being, every cell, and heal your system. When you're ready, feel yourself back in your chair, back in your home, wherever you are in this world. Begin to feel the chair and the floor beneath you. Maybe wiggle your fingers and toes or rub your arms. Give yourself a nice hug. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
When you can, we hope that you will go to our website and ccwh.com and look at some of the other activities we have and other offerings. But while you're there, perhaps you can go to our PayPal button and share something with us so that we keep going with our offerings of spiritual interventions for the humanity that we are serving. And in anticipation of your donation, I would like to bless the offering. Father, Mother God, you are the giver of every good and perfect gift. Give us grateful hearts that we may share freely with others all you have given us. Amen. Now we end with our closing circle and our own version of Let There Be Peace on Earth.